Hello, welcome. This is Jennifer. I'm glad you're here. Today I have some really fun pop-up lantern cards for you. Now these flatten and fit in a 5x7 envelope with no problem, but they stand up making a great gift or keepsake for a loved one. You can even put an LED tea light on the inside so that it flickers like a lantern. Now, I got these dies from Scrappy Tail. I thought they were brilliant, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to play with them in time to do a video. I plan to make some gifts with them right up close to the holidays. So I asked my friend Mindy Eggen if she would use these dies to create a guest video to share with you. I absolutely love the project she came up with, and I think you'll be very surprised at how easy these lantern cards are to make. Again, they flatten to fit in a 5x7 envelope. Here's Mindy.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is Mindy Eggen, and I'm excited to be back on Jennifer's channel to share with you inspiration using these gorgeous lantern pop-up dies. So the style that I am going to share today using this lantern pop-up card is very basic, but it's the one I fell in love with the most. There are other options, including a spinner card where you can have something hanging down and spinning. You could have a base where you can spin the parts of the inside of the card, or just have something propped up. I'll be sharing some examples of those later on in the video. But these make beautiful cards to send out and have as home decor set up on your table or your fireplace. Now, first I want to have you take a look at the dies that were sent to me. This is kind of the basic that you will need to start using this lantern pop-up die. This part is the base that you would have to die cut twice, and then this is actually a frame that you could put around your panels. This piece here, this larger piece, is also kind of a basic to start with. That creates the top of your lantern. The rest of these are all really add-ons that you can use to decorate your lantern with. So these are the snowflakes. You can use all three on your panels or just one out of the set. This one, I fell in love with that deer that's in the center. This is another one I'm going to be using, which has the birch trees, and then also some additional elements for you to layer up the images on that panel. So this is going to be the basic. What you would need to start out with is both of these dies to create the main piece of the lantern, and then also the topper piece, and you can see you get a bunch of additional dies to decorate your lantern with. Now these two dies are what you would need if you wanted to create a spinning platform. And if you visit the Scrappy Tails YouTube channel and also the website, they are giving examples, and the YouTube channel shares some very detailed instructions on how to complete those. Now here's just a quick look at some of the other dies that you could purchase to have as add-ons to your window panels. There are some ornaments. There's also this beautiful kind of nativity scene. You can keep in mind that these could be silhouettes die cut from white or black. You could do some die cut inlay techniques with them to really dress them up. This is more of a fancier panel that you could add to your lantern. And then there's also some images. So for instance, there's reindeer that you could add to the inside if you wanted to do a spinning card, or Christmas tree, snowman. So lots of great paper piecing dies to decorate the inside or outside of your lanterns. Now I want to show you some of the lanterns that the owner of Scrappy Tails had done. This is one using the birch trees. You can see where she had layered the images to add color to it. There's also pattern paper on the outside. Now, if you are using pattern paper, you are going to want to back that with some heavyweight cardstock to make it sturdy enough to stand out. And you can add little tea lights to the inside to light them up just like a lantern. Here is another one where the flower is actually doing a die cut inlay to add that color into that. And there is a base in there. If you could see, there's a little piece of cardstock that stretches across, and that is what the candles are attached to that are in the inside of our lantern. So you can just take a tea light, pop this in, and this would be sitting obviously flat on a tabletop, but you pop that little tea light in there, that LED light, and you can see how it flickers and glows behind that vellum just like a candle. It's absolutely beautiful. This is another one. This one just has the vellum in the back to add kind of that soft glow. And I absolutely love all of this gold and white on here. And like I said, that deer is one of my favorites. But the owner did a fantastic job decorating all of these lanterns. These are just a few of the samples that she has. There are lots more listed on the website. And now this last one that I want to show you is something that's really cool. It has this candle inside, but it's attached with like a fishing line, something clear that hangs down from the top. So when it's standing up on your table, the candle is kind of floating or swinging in there. And then the windows are backed with acetate so it doesn't swing out of the lantern. Really hard to show this on camera, but it really is super cool. And the black lantern with that bright pop of red for the poinsettias are just gorgeous. Now, I probably should have put a forewarning in the beginning of the video that I may overuse the word gorgeous because these lanterns really are. Now we can move on to actually creating one of these lanterns. So these are the two pieces I showed earlier. These are the basic dies you are going to need to create your base and the top of your lantern. So for that piece on the left, you are going to want to cut that twice from your cardstock. For my first example here, I'm using Storm Cloud cardstock from Lawn Fawn. It is a dark gray, so I have two of those pieces cut. And then for the top of my lantern, it has these embossed lines on there that kind of look like a pie, or maybe I just have pie on the brain right now, but I also die cut that from the Storm Cloud cardstock. Now you could see on these two panels that there are two score lines on here. There is that kind of flap that is going to be attaching the two panels together. So all I'm going to do is kind of pinch that where that score line is so I can fold that down. Now I did try and reinforce those folds with my scoring board, but I messed it up. So I just recommend pinching it to get that fold line and then go ahead and reinforce that fold with my bone folder. Then I can go on to that other score line kind of in the center between the two window panes. Once again, just pinching that. So I have my fingers on each side of that score line, pinch that together and then reinforce that fold. And then I'll open it up and kind of move that. We want these to be a little flexible so that way we can fold it up and put it in an envelope. Now I believe that these will fit in I believe it's a 5x7 envelope. So these should fit as long as you don't put your topper too far up, and I'll show that later on, but these should fit in a 5x7 envelope. So I'm just repeating the same steps where I'm folding along those crease lines, making sure that those are reinforced and nice and flexible. And these are going to be the two panels that we adhere together to create our main lantern piece. So this is going to be your base. So once I open up the flap at the end, that's how these two panels are going to connect. I'm going to take some 1/4 inch double-sided tape and add it to each of those flaps. You do want to use something super strong here. I do highly recommend double-sided tape. You could use liquid glue, but you're going to have a lot of wait time waiting for that to dry. It is just a lot quicker if you have the double-sided tape. So now we have our piece that is going to be the top of our lantern, and you can see there are a bunch of score lines in there. Really, it kind of looks like a pie. So I am going to start by folding along the lines that go up and down and across. That was just easiest for me to start with. And after I fold each one of those, I'm going to reinforce that once again. Now, after I get those two, I'm going to kind of work those lines a little bit. This is the piece that is going to end up folding up and popping up a little bit so that we can fit it into an envelope. So we really want these pieces to be pretty flexible. So then I can go through and just like before, I was kind of pinching everything to get it to fold up and down, kind of work those folds and then reinforce them with my bone folder. Now, after we have all of our score lines done, we are going to start adhering this together to create our lid. Now to do this, there is like this point on here. You can see it. Mine is facing down towards me. I'm just going to keep it there. You can have that point at the top or the bottom, but we want to keep that there. And then for the things on the side, we want to pinch those in. So you can just kind of watch. We're going to pinch those together. And when those fold up, it's going to create that lid. Now this really reminded me of back in school when we used to create those like paper things with our fingers. I can't remember the name, but we used to fold up paper all the time and have little messages in the inside. So it really reminded me of that. I was kind of having fun with that. So these are going to be the two pieces that pinch in to create that lid. And then in the inside, we have those two pieces stick out, and we'll work on those in just a moment. The lid really is probably the hardest part, and it isn't even really that hard. Now that we have all of our folds done, I have that point pointing down again, just so I know where my sides are that I need to add my adhesive to. So once again, I'm bringing in that 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape, and I'm adding it to those triangles that are on the sides. I'm going to use my finger and just push down really well to make sure it's secured really good to the cardstock. And then I'm going to take my craft pick and I'm going to remove the backing on all of these pieces. These two are going to secure together, and we want to make sure that this stays together and doesn't pop off, because it kind of what keeps the form of the lid. Now we're going to take this, kind of push in to those insides, and then just slowly kind of pinch this together and let those two sides with the adhesive secure together. So just carefully folding it, making sure everything lines up, and then pushing down really well to get that double-sided tape to stick to each other. Now that that part is done, there is also on this piece two flaps, and I'll bring this up closer to show you these two little pieces on the end. They do have score lines on them, and we want to fold those down. That's going to be the only part of the lid that is attached to the lantern. The other side is what's going to pop up and allow us to fold this up to fit into an envelope. So I'm going to fold that kind of back and forth, once again, working those folds. Then I'm going to move into the inside. Now, up close here, you can see there's these two pieces that kind of stick out in the middle, and we don't want that. We want to have one attached to each side of the lantern. So if you can kind of watch, I'm going to push those just to show you where those are going to go, one on each side. So once again, I'm just taking my double-sided tape. I'm going to add it to one side of that flap. I'm going to flip this and add double-sided tape to the other side of the flap. This is also going to add some stability to our lid. After I have that tape attached, I'll remove the backing, and then I'm going to just secure those to the inside of the lid of our lantern. Now, when it comes to cardstock that you're going to use for your lantern, they do recommend a heavyweight cardstock just to make sure it stands up and folds up really nicely. If you do use a lighter weight cardstock, you want to make sure to double up your panels. Not so much the lid, but the panels. So my last piece here is just adding 1/8 of an inch of that double-sided tape to those two side panels that we had folded. Then taking my scissors and just trimming off a little bit of the corner, that's going to help fold in a little easier. We're not going to glue anything together yet as far as the lid. I just wanted to have my tape ready. So now we can start decorating our panels. I have here some panels die cut from some mirror gold cardstock with the holiday panel add-on, and I also have vellum that I trimmed down to fit behind it. Now with these panels, you can put them on the outside or on the inside of the lantern depending on the look that you want. I prefer that border to go around the edge and really give it that look of the lantern, so I'm going to attach these to the outside portion of my lantern. I'm going to take some liquid glue that I have in a fine tip bottle, add it around to the edge, and then adhere that to the front of the lantern. So just hold it there for a second, make sure that that really adheres down to the lantern, and then I'll repeat this for all of my panels. I just want to make sure that I have this design as every other, so I did die cut 2 snowflake panels and 2 of the reindeer panels. So once I have this one done, I'll move on to do my other panel. And I'm only applying that liquid glue to the outer edges for right now. I will add some liquid glue later on when I'm ready to attach the vellum. Now you could also place something heavy on top of these and let it sit for a minute to make sure that those really secure down. Once I have all the windows decorated, I can then take my vellum that I had trimmed to the same size as that frame, and I'm going to add, now this is the back of the lantern or the inside of the lantern, and I'm adding that liquid glue around the very outer edge, and then just adding little dots of glue to the snowflake pieces or whatever my design happens to be. So after I add those dots of glue, I'll take my vellum, place it over the top, and this is where I will set something heavy on it because there is a little bit of space in between because of the cardstock. So I want to make sure that those really secure down to the vellum. So I will move on and do the same thing for my reindeer and then repeat these steps for my other side of the lantern as well. So once I have my vellum pieces in place, then I can attach my lantern together. Now this part I really could have done beforehand too. Doesn't matter either way. But what we're going to do is take that flap that I have the double-sided tape on. I'm going to remove the backing and I'm butting this up right next to that flat edge, just making sure the bottom is all completely straight. And then I can just fold that flap over and that's going to secure it so it is one long piece. So then to actually create the lantern, I'm going to flip that one side in towards the center. Now this is the other side that has the flap with that double-sided adhesive. I'm going to remove the backing and fold the other side over, and that's going to connect it to create our base. So now really you could have your lanterns just like this if you didn't want to add a topper. Either way is going to look good. I'm just going to push down and move this side to side to make sure that all my folds are flexible and will lay down nice and flat. Now we can go ahead and attach the top of the lid if you prefer. And at the very top of our base here, there are a couple score lines that I didn't score. I'm using them as kind of a point of where to attach my lid. So I went ahead and removed the backing of those two pieces on my lid. And then I'm going to kind of finagle this and shimmy it into the top of my lantern. This looks way more difficult than it is. It's really hard to do this when your hands are kind of extended out to get in the camera view. When I have it right next to me, it's a lot easier to do. But we're going to have those two pieces kind of go right where those score lines are. And then I put my hand on the inside and push down on those two flaps. So you can see that we have two ends connected and two ends that are going to pop up when it is flattened. So there we have a completed lantern. So really these are not very hard. They're really quick to put together. And here is one of those LED tea lights that I'm just going to pop in and you can show or see how that shines through the vellum. I'm also going to just kind of quickly shut my lights off here to give you a better idea of how these glow. Obviously, when it's really dark, it's going to look even better. But with that flickering, it really looks like a lantern with the flickering candle in the inside. So now we have one more kind of base piece that we can add to our lantern, and this is really totally optional to you, but it's the topper piece with that little hook at the top. So I die cut two pieces using that die from the same color cardstock I used for my lantern, and I'm adding some liquid glue to the top, not all the way up to that circle hook, but kind of more of the bottom 2/3 of it. And then I attached it to the front of, or the top of my lid. Now you don't want to go too high with these because the higher you put them, it's not going to quite fit in an envelope. But you do want to just kind of hold your thumb or finger over it, let that sit. I did use liquid glue at this point, so I needed to give it time to dry and secure to the lantern. Now I have another lantern here that I want to show you, and I'm going to quickly go through again how to attach our lantern and put that together. Now this one, I made it one long piece right away before I put my panels on. So I had my double-sided tape on those flaps, removed the backing and butted them up to connect them. And then I'm folding these in. I'm not going to glue it down just yet. I want to decorate my windows before I completely turn it into a lantern. Now for these windows, I'm using the Birch Tree panel add-on. I really love that white against this lapis cardstock that I'm using from Hero Arts. Now these are going on the inside of my lantern. So I added just some liquid glue around the very outer edge of the windows and then placing my panels down, kind of holding it for a second or two, and then moving on to the next window. Now this die set also has some additional pieces that you could add to it. I think there's a moose with this one or maybe a house. I can't remember the particular die set, but there are additional elements that you can add to it. I think there's some cardinals in there that are sitting on the branches you could color with Copic markers. So lots of possibilities. I left mine just the plain white because I'm going to decorate it more on the front of the lantern. Now here I'm just going in and adding dabs of glue to the trees and around that border and placing my vellum over the top. I really loved this vellum look and having that beautiful glow from my light that I'm going to put on the inside. So now I removed the backing of the double-sided tape on my flaps, folded each of those sides in to secure it together and create my pop-up lantern. Now I went ahead off screen and added my lid because it was a lot easier to just do when it was right next to me. But I do have some pieces that I'm going to decorate the front of this card with. I have a cardinal here and also some greenery. Now the greenery comes from the lovely layering Pinecone set from Honeybee Stamps, and then I also have that layering cardinal from Honeybee Stamps. I thought it looked just perfect with these birch trees. I created that little cluster of greenery with 2 different shades of cardstock, bunched them together and added them to the front. Now, when I added that greenery, I did not want to put glue on the left-hand side of it because you can see that that's going to overlap to the other side of our lantern. So we don't want to glue that down. And then the cardinal, I added double-sided tape to make sure it really sticks down because of that dimension that my greenery is kind of creating. This time for the top of my lantern, I added a little piece of double-sided tape to the very top. I didn't see where either one was better than the other, whether it's the liquid glue or the double-sided tape. Both worked perfectly fine for me. So I added that to the top, and now I'm going to just kind of decorate these. Now, each of my lanterns, I kind of went back and did my decorating. So for this one that has the cardinal, I'm adding this red bow to the top, and this is from the Bow and Holly Berries Stampin' Cut XL from Hero Arts. I also came back and die cut it from gold glitter cardstock and added it to this dark gray lantern I created. And I also added some snowflakes to this as well from gold glitter cardstock, and that comes from the layering snowflake from Honeybee Stamps. So to kind of finish off and embellish this a little bit, I'm taking some of these gold pearls from Gina K Designs, adding dabs of liquid glue to the center of the snowflakes and also my bow, and adding those gold pearls to the center. So I think I'm going to call this one good. I really love that gold on that dark gray, but the gold also looks really nice on white. So here are the 2 that I have so far, and I do end up coming back and adding some things to my cardinal one. Now I have one more that I wanted to create. I was really having a lot of fun and I think they're super pretty. So this time I am using the Snowflake panel add-on, and I die cut it from a really light blue kind of pastel colored glitter cardstock. These glitter cardstocks all come out of the Memory Box glitter cardstock packs. There is a lot of variety in them, and I just thought this light blue glitter looked really pretty with my white lantern. So I added all of those panels to the outside of the lantern, and then I went ahead and just put everything together. So once again, using that bow from the Hero Arts Bow and Holly Berries Stampin' Cut XL set. Now I wanted to try and put a sentiment on the front, so I have a bunch of these hot foiled sentiments. I actually did these last year, and these come from the Pinkfresh Studio Perfect Sentiment Holiday Set. This is the hot foil plate and also the coordinating die. So I just kind of dug through my large pile that I have there on a sentiment that would fit, added some foam squares behind it, and attached it to the front of the lantern, and that was a perfect fit. Since that sentiment fits so well on the front of the lantern, I dug through and found another one. Now this says Noel, so it's a smaller one, and it was the perfect fit to go on my cardinal lantern. And that one I once again added foam squares behind it to attach it to the front of my panel. Now, here's a quick look again at the lanterns that I created today. So I have this one that is the white lantern with the light blue glitter cardstock, and I just love how that light shines through the vellum and creates that soft glow. I also added a few iridescent clear drops to the center of some of my snowflakes. Then for the cardinal card, I did come back in with this as well and add some gold pearls around my cardinal, and I did put a sentiment on the back too, so there's something on each side. And then this one I left as is. This one was pretty enough. I didn't want to add anything else to it. So that is going to finish up my projects for today that I had a lot of fun creating. These are so pretty. I cannot wait to pass these out to my mom and also some teachers. And don't forget to check out the Scrappy Tails YouTube channel where she is sharing more ideas and also how to create some more interactive lanterns. And a big thank you to Jennifer for inviting me back to her channel so I can share these wonderful projects with you.
Thank you, Mindy. I love these projects. And if you are interested in the supplies that Mindy used, I'll have them linked below in my YouTube description. At the end here, I'll link to another Scrappy Tails pop-up card. This time it's a fun house, and that's a video I did a while ago. I will also link to Mindy's YouTube channel so that you can check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.